Okay, let's talk a little bit more about candlestick patterns. We've already talked about their structure and stuff. Let's go in and look at some specific formations and see how we might be able to use them a little bit more effectively. Everything that we're doing in here, people, is kind of like looking at one of these overhead projectors where you have the clear cellophane and you draw the picture, the words on, and then you project it. But as we get these things, we're going to have support and resistance lines, and then we're going to put on trend lines, then we're going to add in stochastics, and then we're going to add in candlesticks. So we eventually layer up this composite picture. That's what we're trying to do. Once we have all these things on the screen, some of them you're going to go, well, I don't like that one. And you slip that cellophane out and you throw it away, and you slip this one out until you throw that away, until what you have left is what you see clearly and what you like. That may only be 2 or 3 indications out of all the ones we're going to talk about. However, one of the guiding forces in this is candlesticks. These are powerful tools, and we'll talk, well, we already talked a little bit about the history. Candlesticks were created in the 1500s by Munehisa Hama. He was one of the major rice traders for all of Japan with all of their neighbors, including China. He had to account for rice production, rice price, rice shipping through the Kwanto, the 8 major provinces, and of course across the channel to China. In his days, he created the real bodies, which are the colored boxes up here, okay, as clear and shaded. We now know them as green and red, respectively. The green ones, the real body, shows that the open is at the bottom and the close is at the top. It opened low and closed high. How do I know? It's green, okay? But if you look at a newspaper or in a magazine, it's going to be white or clear, okay? A white on white background. And this means that the bulls are in control. And of course, a red one, the opening is at the top and the close is at the bottom. It opened high and it closed low. How do I know? It's red. The bears were in charge. The larger the real body, the more control. Okay? We also have the shadows on the top. We often refer to them as fuses, sticks, wicks, okay? But the official term is called a shadow, and it is the range bar. And as we've talked about already, we know that if we had an extended bottom shadow, that would be a buying bias. And if we had an extended top shadow, that would be a selling bias, irrelevant of the real body's color. Right? So anyhow, Hama-san did this for a while. Legend has it that he was able to make 100 major trades without a failure. Boys and girls, I'd like to make 10 trades in a row without a failure. You ready? So 100 to me is just astonishing. Now that's anecdotal. I mean, this was the 1500s. I haven't had lunch with the man to find out. Okay, so we already know about the real bodies over here, who's in control. What about if there is no body at all? Okay, well, in candlestick parlance, this is called a doji, and it is a cross of indecision. In other words, the opening price and the closing price are exactly the same. Now you can see up on this board up here that there is a slightly longer selling shadow, buying shadow on the bottom, what we call a bottoming tail. So even though this was a dead even fight, it was a moment of indecision in the market, there was a hint of buying pressure in it because that shadow is a hair longer on the bottom. You ready? We also see it where the real body is small. Here we have big real bodies, no bodies. Here's a small body. You ready? Again, this is more or less indecision with a slight preference, okay? We can see it's red, so it opened up here and it closed down here. The bears had a little bit of control. But again, can everybody see that it has a lot of buying pressure in the lower shadow? The sellers had it all the way down here, but before this period closed, the buyers pushed it all the way back up here to the closing. So even though the bears were in control, the bulls had their say in this fight too. Okay, they may have lost the battle, but we don't know about the war yet. So again, a cross of indecision is called a doji. Alrighty? We immediately want to start you guys in with what we call reversal patterns. And the first two reversal patterns are the hammer and the hanging man. Okay? The doji, as we just saw, means what? Indecision. We don't know where the market's going to go. So if we saw the market moving in an uptrend and all of a sudden it culminated in a doji, that doesn't mean that the uptrend is over. It means the market has a chance to change its mind. It can go up, it can go down. It's kind of come to that famous fork in the road. What do you guys want to do? You want to take it up higher or you want to go down lower? I don't know, flip a coin. Okay? Now this one, of course, has a long shadow, so it might give a little impetus to the upside. Okay, there's 100 of us. 51 of us want to go up, 49 of us want to go down. Okay? Well, the 49 of you guys are bigger, so we'll still go down, even though there was a slight bias, but they were bigger than we were. All righty? Now, what happens if we start adding a little bit of influence to it? Well, we have the hammer and the hanging man. Now, I made them purposely gray so I can put them up here on the board for you. The hammer ends a downtrend. So therefore, we know that we must have a series of lower highs in conjunction with lower lows to have a downtrend. If we then see this formation at the bottom, this is a trend reversal and the end of a downtrend. This is a hammer. Now, this would be perfectly intuitive if it were green, would it not? Because not only are the bulls taking over control, but we also have a buying pressure shadow on the bottom. And therefore, we would expect that price would start to go back up in the other direction. It's a trend reversal. But here's the cool thing about candles, people, is that they have nuance. Ready? What if this were red? Is it still a trend reversal signal? Yes, but it's not as intuitive, is it? Now, you see the bears are in control. The bears are still a little in control because it's red, but it has a buying shadow. So might we suspect that instead of going up at a very steep angle, that this thing might go out at a shallower angle? Okay? So if I get a green hammer down here, I'm likely to put 200 shares on this trade. If I get a red hammer, I'm going to put 100 shares and then add 100 shares later after I get some more confirmation. That makes sense? Good. Okay. Now, conversely, if I have an uptrend, a series of higher lows in conjunction with higher highs, and I get a, but Mike, that's a hammer. Well, no, now it's called a hanging man. Okay? It's exactly the same shape. It's just found at the top of an uptrend. And it is a trend reversal for an uptrend. Now, you got to love Munahisa, okay? He only had a one-sided market. He only thought things were good when the price was going up. So when price was going down, that was bad, so he nailed it with a hammer and stopped it from going down. And when price was going up, that was good. But if you were a hanging man, you were hung by the neck, is that a misfortune, a turn of ill events? Yeah, try it sometime. If you don't think hanging's fun, well, you know, what can I tell you? Now, this one isn't as intuitive, is it? What if this was red up here? Well, we had a lot of green candles in the uptrend, and we can see the bears taking a little bit of control, but we still have a buying bias. Okay, so we still know it's going to come down. Well, what if it was green? Well, that's even less intuitive, isn't it? So instead of coming down at this angle, maybe it's only going to come down at that angle. Everybody with me so far? Now I'm going to jump ahead. What would be perfectly intuitive for an uptrend?
2.
What color? If we wanted to trend reversal at an uptrend, what color would this be?
Red.
Red, okay? And if it was perfectly intuitive, where would the shadow be? Where? On top. Excellent. Okay. So I haven't gotten to this one. That's on the next picture. Okay. But this would be called a shooting star. So a hanging man is not as strong as a shooting star. What if I saw this with this? Now might my angle even be steeper? Aha, very good. So we're only talking about one shape here with the shadow top or bottom, okay, at the top or the bottom of a trend, an identified trend, as a trend reversal pattern. Okay? Now, you'll notice that these are, kind of look what they say. It looks like a hammer. There's a handle and there's a block of wood on top, okay? If we look at our pictures over here, we have some variations on a theme, okay? First, we have a spinning top. Looks like a hammer, except the handle comes through the top. Ready? Could be a hanging man, except that his Adam's apple's a little lower. Well, maybe yours would be too, no? Anyhow, spinning tops are more or less like dojis. They have a little bit of bias in them, okay? There's a little selling pressure on the top, a little buying pressure on the bottom, a little real body. Generally, you will find these guys associated with lower volume and therefore not having very much effect on the market. They are marking time. They're just treading water, staying in place, while somebody, the market, decides what to do, okay? Very rarely will you find a spinning top with a large shadow, a reasonably large shadow, on top or bottom, at the top or the bottom of a run. They'll generally look more hammer or hanging man or shooting starish, okay? High waves, these are another one of these very weird things. Look at the exotic range on this. Well, people, this is going to be associated with probably very low volume, okay? Because there was 100 shares traded down here and 100 shares traded there, and during this period, the other 500 was traded right in the middle, okay? So it created a very large range. But could it also be an incredible fight? Yeah, so we're going to see this with a real small volume bar or a gigantic volume bar. Because at some point, the buyers had it all the way up here, and the sellers sold it all the way down here, and the buyers pushed it all the way back up here, and we don't know who won until it turns colors. And then it's not much of a win, is it? It's pretty much a fight to, back to our Braveheart, you know, two crazy Scotsmen going, we won, you know, and 20,000 bodies around them. And of course, over here on the right-hand side, I've already shown you, this is basically an upside-down hammer or hanging man called a shooting star. Okay? Alrighty. And it's really a shooting star up here, because when do you see shooting stars? You see them in the daytime or at night? Oh, at night, okay. And if you remember, if you think back, what do you know about shooting stars and comets and stuff? Were they good things or were they harbingers of bad things? Harbingers of bad things, okay? So, again, if you think about how Munehisa Hamasan saw this, price was going up, and then the light of day is failing, and we start to see a shooting star at night as night falls on our price, and it's a harbinger of ill will, and our price goes down. Remember, he didn't think about going short. To him, there was only one blessing: price goes up. Okay, so these are just a couple of bread and butter, okay, single candlestick patterns that show us trend reversals. We're going to get into these a little bit more as we go along. But let's take our next big step into two candlestick patterns. The first one up is called a harami. And harami in Japanese means pregnant, okay? And you can see that the big red mother has the little baby in the belly. She's pregnant, okay? As you can see up here, it says color is important, okay, but location is more important. And again, what we're looking for is this pattern at the top or the bottom of a run. Now, this is an engulfing pattern, so everything has to be engulfed. In other words, The little real body has to be fully inside the big real body. The shadows must be within the other shadows. Now, these shadows don't have to be inside the body, but they must be within the things. They can't stick out on either side if it's truly a pure harami. Again, we'll play with the colors here just a little bit. Here is a bullish harami on the left. We have a downtrend, and a bullish harami is a trend reversal for a downtrend. So we see that the red candles are coming down, and then we get a strikingly large red candle, which might suggest that the bears are becoming a little bit exhausted. Then we see a small green candle, the baby, if you will, alrighty? That's the bulls starting to take control. And therefore, the thing starts to turn around and come up. What if it was the reverse colors? Okay? Remember, I said location is what's important, but color counts. What if this is a green candle and this is a little red one? Is it still a harami? Yeah. Okay? But now, the angle of attack might be shallower because the bulls tried to take over in the big green candle and failed. The bulls still had a little bit of power left. That's why this candle would turn red, and therefore the angle of attack up might be a little slower. Everybody with that one? Need me to draw that? Good. And of course, a bearish is just the opposite. We make the same case. We have an uptrend, a series of higher lows, culminating in a rather large green candle. The bulls are running out of steam. The bears capture control and then take control and change the direction. Again, what if this one were red and this one were green? Well, then the bulls had control, the bears grabbed control, but lost it. The bulls took back a little control. So it may take a while before the steepness of the sell-off becomes really apparent. Now, what's weird about all this is it works the other direction too. And people go, oh, geez, come on, Mike. I mean, get so many patterns, it doesn't matter. There's no patterns. But there are things to this. Hamasan either didn't come up with a word or we've managed to lose it in the last 7 years. So we don't know what the back of pregnant is. Maybe we call it a caboose. He cleverly called it an engulfing pattern, okay? And in this case, the small one is first and the big one is second. Again, it's almost the exact identical implication of a harami. Where is it located? And then what color is it? If it's at the bottom of a downtrend, it may be the indication of the end of that trend. And if that's the top of the uptrend, it could be the beginning of a downtrend. You ready? So again, here's the examples. The story is similar, but slightly different. The bears have control, and they finally start to weaken. The bulls usurp control and take over. Okay? Again, if I change the colors, the bears had control. The bulls snuck in with a little green color. The bears tried exhaustively to take it back. The bulls won. Okay? Yeah, you would want to go long. Remember, this green candle is going to close up here above this red one. The green, the top is the close here. So if it was late in the period, if this was a 5-minute period, and I was 4 minutes into the period, and it was trading well above this close, I may buy it on this candle here. But the answer would be what? Wait and get confirmation and get it on this candle or this one, because it's going to reverse the trend. Alrighty? The bearish engulfing pattern. Again, the little guy comes first. The bulls run out of steam. The bears seize control, and they insert control. And again, I can flip the colors and just change the story a little bit. Now, these are the single most powerful, and these are actually 3 candlestick patterns, okay? And they are called stars. Now, on the left-hand side, we have an uptrend, and then what we do is have a vertical gap away. And to be a perfect evening star, it must be gapped from either guy on either side. On the other hand, if it gaps away on the first side, I'm already out. That's how chicken Mike is, okay? I don't have to wait for the third period to form to say, this is getting too ridiculous. Does everybody understand that while we're looking and talking about stars and stuff, if we looked at just simple chart geometry, okay, here is our angle of attack, and all of a sudden our angle of attack to draw a trend line is like that. It's too vertical. Try taking an airplane straight up. Don't work. You can get an airplane real high if you go up at a 35, 40-degree angle, but try one vertical. It doesn't work very long, okay? So I expect it to fall down. Again, what makes it a star is the fact that it's gapped away from its neighbors, so it has this space in here. And that includes its shadows, etc. Now, again, what if the shadow came down and just touched inside here? I'd rather be chicken, okay, than correct. You know, what do you want to do? You want to be rich or you want to be right? Okay, well, this isn't a star. Yeah, but it still went down, moron, you know? Yeah. So I still get out on these things. Why is it an evening star? Again, Muna Hisahama says that we had an up run and an evening star. The dark of night is going to fall on our price. It's time to put away our toys. And therefore, we have the opposite, a morning star. Okay? And now the light of day is going to shine on our price because we're going to get this ugly night over with, and the warmth of the sunshine is going to bring our price up. Now, again, we can get these things a little bit better named because you know the names of these now. We have to give it its full name. So over here, this is a spinning top. So this is a spinning top evening star. Okay? And this is called a, 2 slides ago, shooting star. So this is a morning shooting star. And then, of course, we have an evening doji star and a morning doji star. Okay? Again, you can clearly see on that last one, on our evening spinning top star, we had a little bit of a green body, didn't we? And yet it was still a powerful changeover. What then when it does have no bias at all? I mean, this is really stalling, isn't it? I mean, we're really getting vertical here. So dojis even tend to be more important.
This you said last time it had 84% probability?
84% probability that the trend will reverse sharply on the next period, okay? And so, yeah, it's...
That's a pretty good probability.
That's pretty high probability, kids. So I don't know that I'd bet the farm, but certainly both cows. Now, this is another kind of pattern. This is more of a continuation pattern. We've been looking at trend reversals, okay? The first one is called 3 white soldiers. Again, remember, Muna Hisahama's candles were white, alrighty? And this is imperfect. The perfect 3 white soldiers are where the opening and closes are exactly the same, so it forms a very symmetrical staircase. And if you get 3 of these up, you'll usually get a couple sideways, and then you'll have a continuation of the uptrend.
Those would be like the three little Indians, what they call, where they're fibby, they're probably harmonically related too, right? These 3 guys here?
I don't know. That's getting beyond me there. Okay. That, you mean one might be a 38.2 and a 50 and a 61, or
I think
I don't.
the same harmonic numbers each one.
What is a harmonic number? I guess is my question.
Well, I like with the fib numbers is what you're using, like the 38.2.
Okay. It's possible. Like I say, they're usually very symmetrical steps. Okay. Now, this is a trick question. Okay. Somebody show it to me. I can't find it. Did anybody find a bearish engulfing pattern? August, July 30. This looks like a bullish harami. Okay. If it's an engulfing pattern, the little one's going to come first. Okay. And it should be found at the top of an uptrend because it's bearish, right?
Does the color matter though?
No, color doesn't matter.
Maybe there's one sort of maybe kind of right in the middle on the 14th of whatever that is.
Here?
Yeah. See those two?
No, this one's outside of that one. This one is on the wrong side of that one. This one's outside of that one.
The two red ones, but
I like the one July 28th where you had the stick man
July 28th.
with the stick man.
Stick guy. Okay. But he's not engulfed. His shadows are on either side of him.
What do you want? What do you
I want to test. What do I want? I want you to be able to correctly answer the question. Okay.
Can you find it?
No, the answer is no. There is one. There's none up there. Okay, but I just found something out from 2 or 3. Yeah, okay, that we need to go back over engulfing patterns. Alrighty. Okay. How about a bearish harami? Everybody spot that one? It's in the circle. Okay. Big green guy is eating the little red guy at the top of an uptrend. Okay, we can already start to see the weakness showing in the next candle. Alrighty, we're starting to break down here. We're starting to get a little selling pressure on a spinning top, and we're on a daily chart here. So, bing, 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 bing. We're probably going to come back down here to support somewhere. No, it's not at the. This is not a star because it's not gapped away.
Okay.
Okay, it's not a shooting star because it's not at the top or the bottom of a run.
Okay.
Okay, remember, they get their names. This is just a spinning top in the middle of everything, unless it's location, location, location. Okay, let's see.
There's one over there too.
Oh, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of them in here somewhere. I'm looking for, we don't really have it. See, here's what scares me. Okay, I'm trading in here. I have a little wedge in here. I hang on to it, and I get this big gap away.
Yeah.
I'd be out. To me, I'm forming a star right here. Oh, the next day or the next period, whatever, it didn't form a star. It's too late. I'm already out. I'm already safe. Okay, I can always buy it again or whatever I want to do. Okay, here is, well, this one isn't a perfect harami down here. Why? Shadow's a little long on this one, isn't it? Okay, it's not a hammer because it's not at the bottom. It's already moved up a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at some more. This says bullish harami, okay, and it's not these last two, it's these two here. We've had a little bit of a sell-off, and the red guy is eating the green guy, and we can see that the opening was much higher, and it closed at the close of this one. This isn't a real strong one. Why not? We got that selling pressure topping tail on the second part of the harami here. So it is going up. Do we have a series of higher lows? Sure, this red candle's higher than this one, green candle, isn't it?
Right.
But it's not going up really steep because of this.
It filled in.
It's just taking some of the bite off of the reversal. Dark cloud cover, okay? The large red candle forms a dark cloud over the preceding bullish trend. The dark cloud must close within the previous day's range, and it doesn't say it, by at least 50%. So, let me put that up here for you. First off, it says it is over a bullish trend. So we must have some sort of an uptrend. Okay, and we have a candle, and we'll just pretend that it's green for right now. The dark cloud cover is therefore a red cloud, or dark cloud, that closes within the body by at least 50%. Okay, so what was Munehisa Hama thinking here? Well, how he saw this is like this in his mind. It was a storm over the top of the upper run. See, he mentally saw this thing tilted over. That's why he calls it dark cloud cover.
That's not 50%.
It's more than 50%.
Right.
One in the book I'm looking at,
You may have an older book.
which one is the, what part of the 50%?
This body here must close in more than 50% into this body. This one is closing what? The red one. The red one is closing 80, 90% into the green one. Here's 50%, Trish, up here. Let's do it again.
But the third one is that like the confirmation?
That's the confirmation. The pattern are these two.
Okay.
This is the beginning of the downtrend.
But almost like if you put those two together, that would be an engulfing type of a pattern, that those two red ones would.
Yeah, you could say that. You're looking at this guy's bottom and this guy's top engulfing that green one. Yeah, that's another way of seeing it. Okay, Trish, here is the green candle, and here is 50% of its body. So what we're saying is that the red one must close inside the green one, and it doesn't say that up here on the board, but I'm saying by at least 50% or greater. So here's the 50%, so this one's greater then. And then this would be considered dark cloud cover. And it would be a trend reversal for an uptrend. And I mean, once again, doesn't it kind of make sense? The greens came up, and all of a sudden the bears just took control with a very high opening and a very low close. Okay? So it closed much lower than the previous one opened. I mean, previous one closed. So now here's dark cloud cover. Okay? And you can see it almost inspires a star. Okay? We had a nice up run here, and all of a sudden we get the dark cloud cover, and then the next one breaks down. The only thing that doesn't make it a perfect star, well, we don't know yet because we need one more. Okay? But it's starting to break away. If we got another one going up, well, then we had a morning star. If it comes down, well, we just have a downtrend forming. Questions, answers? Yes, sir.
For Ramis and engulfing patterns, can they be the same color?
Yes. Yes. But however, rarely will you see that. Okay, usually it's a change of control. But yeah, you could have a red one engulfing a little red one. Questiones? Okay, moving right along. Alrighty, guys, is this dark cloud cover over here?
The little green guy and the red guy?
Yeah. Yeah, the little green guy and the red guy.
Covers everything, yeah, it's a major storm there, right?
Really? Okay. See, this is another trick question, guys. Again, you always have to keep focused on the definition. Is this at the top of a bull run?
No.
No. Is it therefore a engulfing pattern? No, it's not at the top or the bottom of a run. The most important thing about trend reversal patterns are you have to have a trend. So this one's just going sideways.
So it's just nothing?
It's nothing. Just a couple of green and red candles.
It says dark cloud cover.
No, it's a question. The instructor is supposed to know when to put the question mark on it for you. Okay? Now listen carefully, Paul. Is this a hammer?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, I got one yeah immediately. Okay? Well, who wants to say no? Miles wasn't a hammer.
It's got a tailing top on it, number one, and the body's too big.
Okay. Well, we won't get into whether the body's too big, but yeah, it's got a little hat. Well, by definition, a hammer, if you really want to get into it, and this is how much fun you can have with this, guys, the shadow must be 2.5 times the height of the hammer block. So they don't have to be perfectly square. You just have to have a longer tail if you're going to have it. So if we measure this, and this is 2.5 times that height, then the body's okay. But I agree, certainly. Does it look like a hammer? Nah. No, it's got a nipple on the top of it. Okay. Is it acting like a hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now we have to make the question what is the definition and what is its reaction? You know, maybe somebody on another chart doesn't see this nipple appear as much, okay? And they start to buy it. Remember, it's all perception and self-fulfillment anyway. But it's not a hammer by definition, okay? It may be a hammer by action. It is at the bottom of a down run, and we can see a green candle forming next to it, which suggests that that down run is over, okay?
But you don't know yet because the trend still isn't broken.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that's kind of foolish about them is that none of these are actually called anything until after they've already fulfilled, and you already know it. On the other hand, what do we have to do? We have to make a decision right here in the next period, the next candle. What are you going to do? It's a pop quiz. I'm short. Am I going to let my profit erode? No. When in doubt, get out. It looks like a hammer enough to me. I'm going to get out of there. Try that again. Is this a shooting star? I want to make sure I emphasize the question noise, okay?
Yes, I think it is.
Well, again, not classically. It does have a bottom nipple on it. Well, that's an evening star then.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have to have a gap on both sides for it to be a star, okay? And this one does not. So it's not a classic star. Is the single guy here a shooting star? Well, a shooting star was an upside down hammer, if you guys will remember. But this one has a little goodie on the end of it. So it's really a spinning top with a lot of selling pressure on the top. Is it act like a shooting star? Probably, okay? Because if nothing else, what is the chart dynamics doing? Are we just going too vertical? Yeah, sure.
You know that's got to be outside, way outside the bands.
Oh, yeah, throw Ballingers on that.
And most likely the volume for 2 days in a row, the bull's got to be running out of bullets.
Yeah, that's starting to look a little climactic down here, isn't it? Compared to everything else that's going on? Absolutely. Now, is that a shooting star? Is that a shooting star? Absolutely it is, okay? Yeah, sure. You got a 3-day up run, okay? And you have the perfect,
Space, though.
pardon me?
You had to have space right in front.
Oh, no, you guys want an evening star. See, these are tests. I know the definitions, okay? An evening star is gapped away from its brethren, but a single pattern upside down hammer or hanging man is called a shooting star. Now, here is 3 white soldiers, a reversal from the bottom. We came down, we got the 3 white soldiers, the thing goes sideways and then takes off. We also have the 3 black crows, okay? This thing was going up, the thing started getting toppy up here, we start seeing indecision, and then we see some engulfing patterns here, and then we get the 3 black crows. Now again, these are not perfect black crows. You know, as Paul suggested, we want to see these guys in a nice standard relationship to one another. The open, the close be exactly the same. Perhaps the body lengths be relatively the same size, so it looks like a real nice staircase.
The opposite, they're the opposite of the 3 soldiers then, right? These guys.
Exactly, yeah.
These pioneers here then?
And then here's your pioneers, very good, okay? And then we would expect after the short rest, the continuation of the downtrend. How about that? Is that a morning star?
Could be.
Sure, it could be. We don't know until we see one more candle, right? But boy, I mean, you talk about a gap away. Yeah. So, I mean, if this thing, if another one comes up here, then it would be a morning star by virtue that it's gapped away. But if it opens down here, it's just a bad gap. Okay.
That's a bad news.
Yeah, that's a bad hair day. Yeah. What do you mean you're long? I bought this on the engulfing pattern. I didn't wait for confirmation. Here's a doji with a nice bottoming tail, indication that we could go higher. It does, a little bit. but it's also looking after these very stretchy things. Things are getting tired, and we bring it down. Is this a hanging man over here on the hard right? You see the question mark? Okay, I don't want you guys to think I'm trying to fool you here. Okay? No, he's not at the bottom or the top of a trend. He's just a candle going sideways. How about this? Is this a doji morning star down here? No, it's not gapped away from its brethren on either side. It has to be moved away to be a morning star. Okay? No, the shadow's covering this one here too. So you can't have it either way, Trish. We're not going to let you have that one. Okay? How about this? Is this a bullish engulfing pattern up here? Bearish engulfing pattern? No. Shadow's too long. But did it act as a bearish engulfing pattern? Absolutely. So again, guys, I try to teach you the definition, and I want to try to show you how they work and don't really work. That's what's important. Okay? Again, here we have a nice down run. Is this a hammer? Not officially. It's got a nipple on the head. What happened to it? Did it reverse the trend?
Yes.
It's hammer enough for me. Beat me in the head. Okay? Okay. Again, the joy of candlesticks is their nuance, Trish. Okay? If I have a down run and I have a perfect hammer, the body is exactly 2.5 times the width of the body and it's green, I am going to expect the angle of reversal to be very steep. But if it has a little bit of a nipple on the top, I'm still going to expect the angle to be up, but it's not going to be as steep. If the thing has a nipple on the top and it's red, it's still hammer-like, and now I'm going to say the trend's going to come up this way. And if it's completely not a hammer, it is now a shooting star at the bottom. This is even less intuitive, but it's still a reversal signal. Now the trend is going to come up at an angle like this. And I say like this, that's not a degree, less sharply. So each one of these things creates a slight nuance as to how much risk I'm taking or how much profit motive I have. So, yeah, I agree that this guy over here, or that one we looked at, wasn't a perfect hammer, but it did reverse the trend, didn't it? That's all that matters, okay? Walks like a duck, it eats like a duck. What is it? Walks, talks like a duck, looks like a duck. Then it's a goose. It must be a goose, okay? The other thing we talked about is how we see these really stretchy type things. And I said the larger the real body, the more control the bulls or the bears have. However, it does become over-exaggerated. So when you start to look at, you got to look at the overall universe of the candles. And you look over here and you say, well, this one's 1/4 of an inch, and this one's 1/4 of an inch, and this one's 1/2 an inch, and this one's 3 inches. That's odd to this universe, okay? So when you start to see exotic things in your patterns, start looking for change. When all is storm, look for calm. When all is storm, look for calm. When all is calm, look for storm. Okay? So take a look at these things and start to think about what might be going on. These swings of emotions between fear and greed that causes these huge stretchy guys and then comparatively small spinning tops as people go, run, 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 run. Okay? And they take that breather. Yeah, ready. Let's see, here's a little, is this really a doji with a topping tail? Well, I see a little bit of body, but it's so small I can't even see the color. So we'll say, yes, that's a doji with a topping tail, okay? Whole bunch of spinning tops. Again, is this really a doji? It looks like it has a little bit of body, but again, it's certainly an indecisive moment in the market. It may not be clearly indecisive, but it's indecisive enough to say, we got to be careful. And that's what dojis, by the way, mean. If you're in a position and you come up to a doji, you got to say, I'm going to come up on the balls of my feet and look around. Is anything else changing that could cause this thing to erode and go against me? Alrighty. That's basically the end. Your question was what? Times of the year to trade.
Yeah, times of the year.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. Now, by no means, again, people, is this perfect. But over my years of observation, I've noted that there are some times that are smarter and hotter trading than others. Some are so hot that maybe you don't trade them. Just because one of the last class we had in Forex, one of the students said, well, Mike, what's the most exciting time to trade? Well, probably the Japanese-European overlap. He goes, that's the best time? I said, wait a minute. Don't ask me two different questions. What's the most exciting or what's the best time? Okay, those might be different. Do you understand? I trade a couple of sections of the year, okay, that I really concentrate. When I say I only trade 4 to 5 months, people, I'm never out of the market. But there are times when that's what I really, truly focus on, okay? And we'll start out with the beginning of the year. Pretty much you guys have heard of the January effect, okay? Usually we have some up in this for about 3 to 4 weeks, starting on the second week of January, second week of Jan, to about the third week of Feb. Now, all you guys have to do is think this through. Everybody's still happy from the holidays, okay? We've got a brand new year. As you go back to work, your boss is pounding you on the back and saying, welcome back. We've got all these new goals to achieve. Life is good. About the third week of February is when the master charge bills start to arrive from the Christmas holidays, okay? And this starts to depress the market. People don't want to buy stocks. They don't really want to sell stocks. They kind of step to the side and the market goes flat. So I like trading this period, but the next couple of weeks is usually pretty flat. Alrighty? That takes us up into about mid-March. Okay? So from what? There's only 28 days, so from February 21st until about March 14th. Maybe it's March 10th sometimes. Let's put March 10th. March 10th through the March 31st. So we got about another 2.5 weeks here. This is the first quarter earnings season. Okay? And usually, if the January effect has any real trueness to it, this is going to be either good or very disappointing. So this is going to usually be a hot section in here. Okay? And then we have April, and there's only a little bit in April, usually April 10th, okay, through around April 21st. And what are we crossing here? Tax day, okay? So I'm usually looking for some really down before the tax day and generally a little relief rally afterwards. So I only have about, again, I'll call it 2 weeks, but it might be 10, 11 days in here. We tend to get some flat, and then May. And I'll pick May 15th through June 15th. Okay, we get a bit of a rally. So this one is down, and this is up, and this can be either way depending on earnings, and this is up. Okay, usually you get a little bit of spring rally in here. People are feeling good about themselves. We're coming up to the second quarter. It's kind of based on what the first quarter ended up, but if nothing else, people are anticipating. We start to get into summer, and from the end of June, okay, we ended there. Let's pick it up on June 21st to July, specifically July, third week of July, we usually have a major sell-off. Okay, and starting up here at the top, August through the second week of September, you have this mild drift up because the pros have gone off to vacation. volumes become thin. Joe is undiluted in the market, and he's basically biased alongside. So without the pros to hold him down, he tends to buy it up a little bit. Okay? But when the pros come back from vacation, they have to put their kids back into school, they have to buy clothes, and they're coming off of vacation and having to go back. They're not in a good mood. Okay? But also at the same time, what is happening in the end of September and the beginning of October? It's the down cycle in manufacturing. All the manufacturing, somebody told me one time, I haven't checked the actual figures, but something like 68 or 69% of all sales occur in the Christmas season, in the last 6 weeks of the year. And I went, that's astonishing, okay? But more importantly, I know it's big. When did they make all those toys, all those clothes, all those furnitures, all those cars? They made them in May and June and July. Okay, and then they started delivering them at the end of July. Through August, they're going to the distributions, and nobody has anything to report in August, September, or September, October. So from September 15th to about October, maybe even the third week, October 21st, this is usually a pretty down time. We're getting changed. We're going back into fall and winter. Our hibernation spirits are taking over us. Manufacturing is down. The pro traders are back and they're grumpy. Okay? So we tend to see a sell-off. And that brings us back up to the beginning of November through the last week or the first week of January, last week of December. And we get, I'm going to make this December 20th. And this, of course, is the Santa Claus rally. People start really feeling happy. Now, you have to be real careful between December 25th or 26th and the 30th. Because this is tax cleanup time. This is when a lot of portfolio managers will go in and they'll take all the losers out of their portfolio and they'll start adjusting to do whatever tax adjustments they can just prior to December 31st. Okay, so I like to trade the January effect. I like to do the sell-off in the April routine. I love the June-July sell-off. I love the September-October sell-off. And I play the Santa Claus rally. You add up all those times, and that comes out to about 4 or 5 months that I'm really focused. There are other times I always take pot shots, always looking for opportunity. Even today, while I did not go onto a platform, and well, I did here on this platform, but guys, I already have my options working for me for this month, and they expire Friday, and I'm doing very well in my options. So I'm still in the market, even though I'm standing here in front of you. Don't ever think I'm not in the market. It's just sometimes I'm in the market. Okay, questions, answers? Yes, sir.
On candlesticks, are those more valid on a daily chart, or does it make any difference?
Sure, absolutely. Why is a candlestick more valid? Because it has more statistical data in it. Anything that has more time in it is better than something that has less. Whether they're candlesticks or whether they're bar charts or whether they're moving averages or stochastics or MACD, anything. Okay, the more statistical evidence, the higher the probability will fulfill. Okay, and a candlestick is nothing but a bar or nothing but, you know, a grouping of numbers. So the more numbers you have, the better off you are.
So a week is stronger than a day and so forth?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there are people who actually use decade charts, okay, where each candle is 10 years long, okay? And I mean, if you go back and start doing grain studies and stuff over the agrarian history of the United States from 1700s to today, you might want to use decade charts, all right, to see what the real big patterns are. But yeah, but I'm here to tell you guys, I use, in my swing trading, I use a 5-minute candlestick, and I see myself, I'm in a long and I'm on an up run, and I've been doing really well all day long, and I get myself a shooting star or a hanging man, boom, I take the money off the table. I'd rather be rich than right, okay? And, oh no, this one has a little nipple. It can't be a hanging man. I'll just hang on. Wrong. No, I'm chicken, guys. I mean, I'm supposed to teach you the real definitions, and I know it annoys you occasionally when you say, well, that's confusing. It's not, you say it's this, but it works like that. There's nuance. There's nuance in here, okay? And as you start to observe them, as I say, you'll start to internalize some of the things I've said to you. You'll make it yours. Right now, it's book learning. It's academia, okay? But as you take this home and you start looking at chart after chart after chart, you start seeing these things, you go, that looks like a boy, and it's acting like a. Okay, not only does it look like a, but it's acting like a. Okay, and then plug whatever the right number or name is in there.